Can the KTM Freeride E-XC ride wheelies? Well, today you're going to find out.
So just in case you guys are wondering, e-bikes can't ride wheelies. So they don't have enough power, you know, they top out and they don't have a clutch. So e-bikes can't ride wheelies, just for the record. So I'm not going to ride a wheelie. And that's with pretty low tire pressure. I don't think I have a flat, and it's a lot easier to do wheelies on pavement, but the repercussions are a lot worse if you crash. Get some speed, and then just bring the front end up and hold it, and that's where your balance and skills come into play. You got to have the balance or you're not going to do the wheelies. One end just comes right up. And e-bikes don't ride wheelies. You know, you give this thing to Graham Jarvis and he could ride a wheelie from here to China. I'm not even good at wheelies. You can hear how much wheel spin. You know, there's not a lot of traction here. That's why the technique. I gotta tell you what, this is really slick in here. That's why that technique is that much more important, because if you just try to do a power wheelie, it's just gonna peel out. So part of my wheelie problem, my left wrist, when I get it up, you get the perfect balance point, then you're not really holding on with your hands too much. But like I said, I'm not really a very good wheelier, and I rely on my arms to hold me probably a little bit more than I should, you know, and try and control the bike, and so it hurts my hand. So the thing it's really important to know how to wheelie, and how to wheelie on command like that. Because say you come around the corner, you know, and this is a bigger ditch or something, you need to be able to loft your front over that. You know, you're going super fast and boom, you hit that, and, you know, now you're squirrely. If you can be going fast and loft that thing up, you know, it puts you in a lot safer position. Teach yourself how to ride wheelies. Try and be safe about it. Don't try and be Graham Jarvis overnight. But your e-bike, I assure you, can do wheelies just like my e-bike can. And they're pretty easy to do wheelies on because they have lots of torque. Lots and lots of torque. And the power's really smooth. And I'm in map 3. It can be done in map 2. And since I did my little throttle mod, you know, I don't have the play in my throttle, and I kind of understand the throw. But I'll do some in map 2 here real quick. The mode 2 is just a lot softer power for those of you who've never ridden these. It's called enduro mode. So enduro mode, the power comes on a normal curve like a gas bike. When you put this in mode 3, right off idle, it just whoosh, straight up. It's full torque from idle up. You're just all torque, 31 foot-pounds of torque. Tremendous amount of torque. And so a lot of people ask, you know, how does this thing compare to a gas bike? Well, it doesn't. But if you were to compare it to a gas bike, I would say that this mode 1 right here, it's about like an XR100 if it was totally automatic, and you know, it only had 3 gears. So it doesn't go very fast. It only goes like 30 miles an hour in mode 1. It's extremely soft power. It's good for putting around. When you first get the bike, it's actually pretty good for learning, because you can kind of, the throttle feels different on these things. because there's no lag, and there's a lot of turn. And it's hard to explain until you've ridden one. And then mode 2, like I said, is that real linear power curve. I would say it's the equivalent to kind of a 200cc enduro. Like if you were to dump the clutch on 200cc enduro, it would have a lot more power. But if you rode it kind of just like in the correct RPM range and like rolled the power on, it feels kind of like that. And then mode 3 is kind of like I would say a 250F motocross bike. It's got a lot of power like that, but it only goes, I mean, it was going up the hill basically 40 miles an hour wide open. And that's a fairly steep hill, and we're at altitude, so gas bikes are affected by it also. But it's, you know, that mode 3 comes on real strong, so it's actually pulling harder off the bottom than a 250F. You would have to actually use the clutch on a 250F to be able to get that much power out. And so this thing will spin and break loose on you. When you're an experienced rider, and I'll say like there's another guy out there, electric cycle rider, you've probably seen his stuff. He's used to this electrical throttle, and so he has really good throttle control. He rides in mode 3 all the time. I actually ride in mode 2 most of the time. He's got a lot more precision in his wrist probably than I do, because if I was riding the stuff that he's riding, like maybe now I would be good in mode 3, but I think that mode 2 is so much softer and more forgiving in this really loose kind of slippery surfaces, that you actually go faster in mode 2. Because you still have all the power of mode 3, it's just a lot softer power. So like you saw me do that wheelie in mode 2, but I have to I gotta kind of turn the throttle a lot more to get there. So that was downhill wheeling. This is a fairly steep grade. I would say this is probably 9% grade. I'm in mode 2, and my sissy e-bike can wheelie down it. Got plenty of power to do wheelies. You don't need a clutch to do wheelies. Obviously there's no clutch on this bike. It's only a brake. No way. Impossible. Impossible to do the wheelie on the KTM Freeride. Not enough power. They just don't have it. You know? You'll have to get an Alta before you can ride a wheelie. Or, you know, get yourself a real man's bike like a, you know, CR125 or something, you know, real horsepower. I'm at like 7,000 feet of altitude here. The 125's got like 10 horsepower. Stop, show you when I'm riding wheelies in here. Yeah, no power. So this is my CST Surge 1. Real son of a bitch to mount. But yeah, look at those knobbies. So that might be what a little bit what I'm feeling when I'm getting those wheel stands. It feels a little wallery. It also could be this bottomless cinder. So this is the kind of riding that will really suck the battery down on the Freeride. It's kind of wide open road stuff. It eats through the battery pretty good. These are much better bikes for just like tight stuff and trail rides, where you're on and off the throttle a lot more. When you're on and off the throttle, it's not using the battery the whole time. So that one I didn't use the rear brake, and it did top out of speed. So the front dropped because the power went flat. Like right now, there's basically no battery being used except for the water pump. So I'm logging miles and not using battery. Yeah, you can see my front end float right there. That's because when you get on this stuff is real slippery. You get on these edges and it just floats around, so I have to drop the wheel every once in a while. Get tired. Your wheelies are hard work. I've kind of already gone over this. So you can do wheelies by pulling in a clutch, right, and dumping it. It's not really the right way to do it. What's cool about these bikes is the left-hand rear brake. So you don't have to have as much control. Well, you have a lot more control in your hand, obviously. But you need to make sure that you can get good enough grip on this thing so that you don't loop it out. And you don't have to use the foot brake. Like I showed you guys in the other tutorial, you know, cover the brake, compress the front end, and it brings the front end up. With just a little bit of gas. And then that's where you just have to learn the balance point from then on. So that's what you call not getting enough rear brake because your hand's tired.